Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Tipple's Tuesday Wine of the Week wine tasting. Thank you for joining Elizabeth and Jeff Vaudrey, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida. This week, we're going to be enjoying the Chrysolitos Merlot by the Muses Estate winery in Greece. So kind of a little curveball there, Merlot from Greece.
So I was in the shop earlier this week and I was showing the bottle to one of my friends because they were saying, what is it this week? And I looked at it and went, this one, because I didn't know how to pronounce it at all.
We should just read it in the original Greek going up the bottle.
Well, that's what I was looking at, was that rather than it going across horizontally. So
what is it called? I couldn't read it either.
It's Chrysolitos.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you what that means later on.
All right.
Thank you, Brian. I'm not the only one.
Well, yeah, my friend asked me what it was, and I said, I have no clue. I'll send you a picture.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can tell you, it's it's a tough one. Greek does not come easily, at least not to me. If you have not already opened your wine, please go ahead and do so. We'll start by pouring. I like to give my reds a light chill to get them down to about 60 degrees to start my tasting. So 30 minutes in the refrigerator works well for me, and it's what I recommend. If you would, please pull up the slide. We'll talk about pairings. Okay. And take a moment to swirl and get a little breath of air into these guys. So Muses Estate. Food pairings for this guy. Lean steaks, Roquefort cheese, grilled mushroom, lamb especially. I mean, we're talking about Greek wine, even though it isn't a traditional Greek grape. Boston butt, pork roast. This guy is a muscular, kind of a big hitter when it comes to the Merlot side of things. So it can go with the more robust side. It's going to blur the pairings really with Cabernet Sauvignon. It'll approach and cross over a bit like that. Whereas some of the more delicate Merlots, you could even go with, say, something like, you could do some with like duck or even some salmon, just a Pan-Asian salmon or something. But not this guy. It's going to be too big. So let's jump back over. We'll talk about our initial impressions before we discuss in detail about where it came from and why it tastes a bit like it does. This one is 100% Merlot, 13.5% alcohol. So kind of not light, but on the lower end of the red scale for alcohol content. So this guy gets a lot of minerality and earthy. It's very different in presentation.
It's very different, and I can't put my finger on the taste because it's very different.
It is because you're getting a bunch of herbs jumping out of the glass to begin with.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It almost tastes like something was cooked in it and then taken away. Oh, and I guess that's the herbs.
Yeah, it's herbs because you get like almost a green herb, like almost a tarragon and maybe a touch of eucalyptus going through right now.
Okay, I'm not getting eucalyptus, but I could do tarragon.
And there's a smoky quality for sure. Definitely smoky. Yeah, which I think is really, really cool on a Merlot.
You get this combination of like blueberry, strawberry fruit flavor.
Sure, I can get that kind of the darker fruits, and then Merlot's classically plum, but I would go with like a nice red plum as well. But it does have some nice, black cherry. Some of the, you don't get a lot of blueberry out of Merlot, but I can totally get there with this wine because it's intense.
I want to know why it tastes so different.
The terroir. It is not what the winemaker did, it's where it was grown.
Okay.
And that's kind of the fun of it. To me, that's why I get excited about Greek Merlot, because here we have a very different experience. I mean, we had Gunlak Bunchu from Sonoma, and this is very different from that wine. Both of them wonderful wines, but this is a very different experience. This has a lot of almost Syrah quality to it when you get to that smokiness coming through, and
very much
so
smoky and herbal.
Common tasting notes, for Merlot would be cherry, black cherry, plum, but like we talked about, we're getting some.
He's looking at the chat box now.
Oh yeah, Yeah. Okay. I like that's a good option.
I
Yeah,
can
a smoked
absolutely
Gouda
go with
flavor.
that. Mhm.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and what an amazing pairing that would be too.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Mm. Tobacco is common. I would say in this case, because of where it's grown, that ability to confer tobacco, it's still there, but it's, I think, more of that herbiness that we're getting. And then graphite is common. And to me, the graphite is what's causing the smokiness. So that, not that I'm saying it's graphite and graphite is smoky, graphite is that pencil shavings quality, which I can get a little bit of in here, but it's Merlot's ability to pick up the minerality that it's being grown in is what's expressing that smoky quality. Merlot can run the gambit from almost no tannins to highly tannic. A lot of Merlot, and a lot of the Merlot that turns people off, has almost no tannins because it can be kind of flabby without structure and just not particularly interesting. This guy was described, and I agree 100%, as tasting the overall effect of what you're enjoying, nose and palate and texture is a lot closer to drinking something from Bordeaux in France. So right bank Bordeaux, traditionally Merlot, even though Merlot is kind of taking over Bordeaux as a whole. We talked about that when we drank the Cru Bourgeois Bordeaux. But it's a little more muscular, it's a little tighter. The fruit is big and dark, but it's still fresh. I wouldn't call it dried fruit. I wouldn't go with dates or anything like that. And I really do like that. The prickle on the palate. It's got a really nice tannin. And that's where I was talking about that muscular quality is how I would describe it. That allows it to pair with steak.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. This also would be amazing with a bacon cheeseburger. I mean, you can take it down. That's all right.
Now I just want a bacon cheeseburger.
Oh, don't we all? Always. So
I don't know what she's.
I'm not sure, but and on the vegetarian side, portobello mushrooms, any kind of mushrooms.
Oh yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And you could, I mean, just like with a lot of big reds, this guy could run anywhere from sharp cheeses to creamy cheeses, depending on what else you're playing around with in there.
I really like that smoked Gouda suggestion.
Yeah, I feel like
Smoked Gouda would be amazing. Like, what would be awesome with this? Smoked Gouda with a half of a strawberry on top with this wine.
Really?
Yes. Yep.
those people pleasing wines that like it's not too anything, it's not too dry, it's too sweet. And it's like you would never think, oh, I brought this Egyptian wine to a party and people would be scared, and it's great.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you like it.
And it's Greek.
Right?
What did I say?
Egyptian.
Oh, I wasn't drinking before we started.
I thought you were using I thought she said Egyptian just as the form of like, some other wine that may be Egyptian.
Weird.
I didn't realize you. Anyway.
Greek.
Hey, that's right.
Cheers.
That's right. Well, I'm glad that, yeah.
Listen, it's been a long week and it's only Tuesday.
Some of the Egyptian had you'd be scared.
Right. Well, I'm glad everyone seems to be enjoying it on the way in. I love wines that are easy to enjoy but have unique character. That's kind of my favorite thing to do.
You can look at the chat box.
I agree. The chat box. It's all great
It's
to
all
me.
Greek to me.
Absolutely. Here's to that. Dad jokes.
Yeah, we love those.
Okay, let's jump in and see, dig down to where this delightful wine comes from.
It's not Egypt.
It is not. It's north of Egypt. By the way, almost directly. So here we are in Greece, and today we're drinking from central Greece. So right in the dead center of
the
of
growing
the latitude.
latitude.
Yeah. We'll zoom in a little bit here. So some of you were with me, us, months ago when we worked our way through northern Greece. And actually, one of the things I really like about Greece and the way they name their wine regions, the northern part of Greece, wine region, is called Northern Greece. The central part of Greece is Central Greece.
That makes it much
Thank
easier.
you. Thank you, Greece. Anyway, so we drank the Casino Mavro and the Malaguzia. That was the Malaguzia was the white, Casino Mavro the red from up here in northern Greece. And so now we are down in central Greece, right around here today. There specifically is where it is. Muses Estate shows up on the map because they're that awesome. Central Greece, rolling plains that approach the foothills of mountains, generally. You can grow a lot of grapes in central Greece because that area is easily farmed. It's not challenging angles like you would see in Germany. We'll actually have to drink some more German wines because I want you guys to see how their vineyards line up along those riverbanks at the angles. It's incredible. Anyway, back to Greece. So kind of rolling plains, approaching the foothills of mountains. It is hot and arid during the day. The mountains, thank goodness, are there because as evening sets in, the cool air up at the top of the mountains rushes down and cools down the grapes. So it keeps them from ripening too soon, and it allows them to have a longer, slower ripening process with lots of food during the day. They relax at night, so they can have longer hang time on the vine. We've talked about hang time. The longer it can stay on there without over ripening, it will gain more and more character. And you can get that. What does that mean, character? The minerality and the grip that we're seeing in this guy, all those nice smoky flavors, that's pulling from the minerals in the earth that it's being grown in.
Oh, you said earlier that, or at least you implied that Merlot specifically pulls the terroir. Is that, or did I just
It's not
misinterpret what you were saying?
exclusive. No, I did say that.
No, not exclusively, but
Right. It's good at it.
particularly, it's very good at it.
It's good at it. Yes. There are some grapes that pull more of the the soil content and express more of the soil they're grown in than others.
Okay.
Cab can sometimes not give you a lot of where it's grown.
Okay.
Chardonnay can do that. Chardonnay can also do it. Depends on how you grow them. But anyway, this guy is one of those
Merlots tend to be like pretty
they
consistent.
honestly, that was part of the description of the within there, about the graphite, which is a wonderful thing, and Cab can have it. But I've had plenty of Merlot that gave me no minerality.
Oh, okay.
None at all.
So it's really just.
It's largely about location.
Okay.
Yeah. And things like temperature and hang time to get, because Merlot, if you have a nice warm fertile area, you're going to grow a bunch of Merlot grapes really fast and get a bunch of alcohol that doesn't taste like a whole lot other than jam. So it just depends.
They just didn't have enough hang time if it's like that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. In a fast ripening and an over ripening situation. So let's switch it up. Thank you. Oh, no, I meant to the next one. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Switch it up. It's not.
It wasn't helpful. It
specific
was an
enough.
unhelpful description of what I wanted.
Yes.
All right. So we are in we're in the southern part of central Greece.
Okay.
For these guys. All right. The Valley of the Muses. Muse Estates is named for being in this valley. So they're growing grapes in the Valley of the Muses, which is an area that was, let's see here, it was actually created. It wasn't created. There is a monument to the Muses, the Greek mythological Muses, here in the valley. And then specifically within the valley, then you have the Helicon mountain, which is what we're looking at right now. And they have like musical festivals there, and it's an open air historic site that you can go to anytime you want to.
That's very cool.
Which I think is awfully interesting. He's next. Thank you. All right, soil types. I've never done this before, but I talk about clay, loam, sand, and silt. Pebbles, I think we can imagine that wasn't part of this. Pebbles are pebbles. But anyway, this guy, where these are grown, this is a combination of loam and clay.
Okay.
All right, so the clay provides the minerality. The loam provides the nutrient. That would be the nutrients, right? For growing the plant, the organics. And you want it to not have too much. If a place was 100% loam, you're not going to stress your grapes vines at all, and they're not going to produce very good grapes. So what we're talking about is clay with some loam, not loam with some clay.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to have a nutrient-rich growing area will make sloppy grapes that don't taste like much. The vine needs to worry about its continued existence so that it puts all the work into making fantastic grapes, because it thinks it's perpetuating, that it's going to reproduce and move to a greener pastures.
Okay.
So you have to stress it out. And by the way, we've had areas now, we see clay almost everywhere and a certain amount of loam, otherwise there'll be nothing. Sand, we've seen sand and loam, especially in Spain. And silt. Now, we haven't seen a lot of silt, but the kerner, because it was they remember the alluvial fan?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because
Yes.
it's the runoff from the mountain was eroding, and it's creating this fan of silt and silt. And so that one's more silt, sand, a little bit of loam and rocks there. So anyway, we'll actually come back to talking about where those came from at the end of the presentation.
I like the slide.
Thanks.
Yeah,
So here we are, loamy clay and soil. So there they are mixed together. You can see that's mostly clay,
Yeah.
but it has some content. You got to keep those grapes alive. You just. And so here we go. The grapes grown in central Greece. There's a long list, but the biggest ones. This list is a collection of the vast majority of the grapes grown for the first two, and the last ones are just that they are beginning to grow more from out of the area. But Casino Mavro is the red that we drank from northern Italy before.
Right.
Ayerhitico, by the way, I want props for that.
Yeah, you did really well with that. I was wondering how to pronounce that.
What is it?
Ayerhitico. And if it's wrong, it's my wine rep's fault because I asked.
Who's going to dispute that, right?
Right. But Cab, Merlot, Syrah are beginning to take root in here. There are about 3 or 4 other classical.
They're beginning to take root.
Ching.
Yeah.
Yes. They're probably taking graft. Actually, interesting point.
You said Greece didn't have much phylloxera.
Not
right?
much at all. Most of Greece is phylloxera free. So we're talking about ungrafted vines in Greece. That would be my understanding, is that is the norm, and that having to graft is more unusual in Greece, because most of their areas are so arid and brutal that the phylloxera couldn't live there.
Okay.
So phylloxera being root aphids that came from the southeastern United States. When trade within the world began, and some produce from the southeastern United States, not the United States at the time, I think we were colonies at the time, began running around the world, along came these nasty little root aphids called phylloxera, and they almost destroyed all the wine in the world, because grafting was not a technology that existed for humanity at the time. Grafting, root grafting, where you take the top, the one vine for the top, but you use a root stock that's
Phylloxera resistant.
Phylloxera resistant for the bottom, and graft them together. That was created in Texas, and it saved wine.
Yeah, except for what you said, Chile.
Chile.
They're phylloxera free.
Yep, and Greece for the most part. A few spots up high level plateaus in Spain. I've heard of those, but
almost the whole world.
Almost the whole world. France was devastated. They had no idea what they were going to do. Sorry, I have to enjoy once in a while.
So this is fairly new for them, though, since this is Merlot. Okay.
Right. Yeah, they've been growing Merlot. Looking at the notes that I saw, they didn't say it specifically, but I would say it's been since around 2005 when they planted them.
Okay, yeah.
That was with the 3rd generation of the family taking over. Let's slide on to the next slide. Here we go. Merlot, the color of Merlot. So more on the garnet side, which I think we're seeing here.
Mhm.
And,
Definitely.
you know, and then the other thing I was saying, what was it, last week or the week before, where you see the Merlot grape, looks like that grape, which is Cabernet Sauvignon. It's just red wine grapes tend to look like red
They all
wine
look the
grapes.
same.
Yeah, they're not all that different, but it all depends. But they can sure taste different.
And you've said before, even if you plucked them like that and stuck it in your mouth, you would taste the difference. It's not just about the venting process.
It is not.
It's
No, you would
about
taste
the
the
grape
difference.
itself.
Right. The
too.
grape itself has its own
Mhm.
qualities. All right, so here we have the winemakers, Muses Estate. It was, like I said before, it was named for the Valley of the Muses, the open air historical site. The Muses were the Greek goddesses of art and science, and they provided inspiration to mortals in those areas of expertise. And there were 9 muses. The Muses Estate was founded in 1946 by Nikolaos Zacharias. And we're now in the 3rd generation, which we have the 2nd and 3rd generation pictured here. The Zacharias family still running the winery.
Good for that.
Yep.
I like it when we see family-run wineries.
Right. Yeah, I do too.
Mhm.
So the elevation there, because like I said, they're near their grapes are grown near the base of Mount Helicon. So they're 1,400 to 1,700 feet above sea level. So a little height in there.
Mhm.
The chrysolithos, what does it mean? It means golden rock.
Huh.
Yes. And there is chrysolithos right there. It's named for that point there. Now here's the mountain over here. But these are their vines.
Mhm.
And I have a better one. There's a better shot of, so that's what this is named for, the golden rock. And they're in the town of Askri.
That's natural because I can't. It's far away. It looks like it could be a man-made.
There is a little bit of a man-made peak up
Okay.
here of these bricks made from the local area. It's the same
Okay.
color. It's kind of a, well, it looks like, you know, that you saw the clay,
Mhm,
the
mhm.
soil.
Right. They made it
it's
out of
that
that.
color.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So they combine hand working techniques in the fields with very modern techniques with the winemaking. So they're not a very big winery, but they actually produce 14,000 cases a year, 180,000
Wow.
bottles. Yep.
This is not our picture. No. That'd be great if it was,
Oh, I
but
wish,
it's
right.
not. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. It's from the wonderful Googles. All right, so here we have, this is their like I said, hand tended wines, hand picked. They bring it in there, but then they use more modern vinification techniques, so they do produce a lot for being in a small space. They have it all cashed in, and they're making, I think, some great wine.
Last week, didn't we have hand tended with then modern facilities as well?
Last week,
We were in South America,
maybe, yeah, we were. That was the
Mhm.
owl and the dust devil.
right? Mm-hmm.
In Mendoza.
I thought it was the
Yeah,
big steel things inside, and then I thought you said hand
Yeah.
tended outside, but I could have mixed up my weeks. So
But that would also very much look like Garzon with the Tanat,
Mm.
because that amazing winery, so modern and everything, in the middle of the mountains. And
yes, it wasn't that one
no,
though.
yeah.
Right. I remembered that one. I really want to go there.
Oh yeah. Well, the Mendoza looked incredible, right?
Mhm.
I mean, oh my gosh.
They all look like I want to go visit them though.
So this is the winery, the Muses Estate. So you can
Mhm.
see when they're in there, they've got it all modern equipment running
Right.
around there. It runs all the way around the outside of the building, all the way inside the building. I mean, they are chock-a-block. They're working. And tonight represents, this is the highest end of their wines,
Okay.
at least certainly the highest end that comes to the United States. They have some more casual drinkers. They're all tasty, but I thought this guy was particularly delightful.
Mhm.
All right, so let's see here. Let me see. So we get to ratings. There are no ratings on this wine. These guys don't have it out for that, which is fine, because we always get to this point where we talk about what we're thinking anyway. And now's the time when it becomes a little more interactive again, and you stop listening to me drone on and on. So let's say 95 to 100, classic, a great wine. 90 to 94, outstanding wine of superior character and style. 85 to 89, very good, a wine with special qualities. 80 to 84, good, solid, well-made wine. Wouldn't kick it off the table. And then some mediocre drinkable stuff. Let's talk about what you guys are thinking, and whether you want to throw a number to it or not. Let's just hear a little bit now that we've had a few more minutes to learn about the wine and drink it. What are you guys thinking?
We both actually really like this one. And for Brian to be like, this is so good, I'm like, yes, it's a Greece party. We're going to have a toga party and drink all the Greek wine.
There we go.
I like it.
Yeah, I can't shake the taste of like cherries though. I'm really getting the dark cherries, which I like.
Yeah.
That's 96-ish, I'd say. Yeah, it's
Wow.
good.
Yeah, that's high praise.
Yeah. Harriet was saying about the cherries earlier too, I think, with the blueberries.
Sure. Yeah, it's got some great big fruit, but it has a lot of nice mineral character to balance it out.
Right.
So, anyone else?
Yeah, I think around 90 seems about right to me. Like I really, really like it. I think it was really, really smoky at first. And I think that kind of calmed down, but it's maintained that fruitiness the whole time. I just think this is just a really solid, just really nice wine overall, you know.
Good. I'm glad. To me, I'm getting a little more pepper out of it now. Peppercorn.
Yeah.
Now that it's opened up a bit more for me. So that smoke is chilling out a little bit, and that peppercorn's coming up, and it's still with that nice herbal, just fun.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts out there?
89,
90?
89 to 90.
Mhm.
Nice heavy red. Keeps changing as time goes on. Very drinkable.
Yeah.
That's what I would have said too, at 89, 90.
89, 90.
Yeah.
I'd probably go 90 to 92. My point would be because of the really great herbacity in the mineral content in there, giving it some strikingness. It's a striking Merlot that makes you take a moment and say, wow, that was different and delicious.
Okay.
So for me, I'm going to give it a little bump.
It has more unique qualities for you.
Like straight delicious and well made,
Mm-hmm.
I'd give it 89, 90. With the uniqueness, I'd bump it up another 91, 92.
Okay.
It's a good difference.
For the kind of wine it is.
Yes. Well, especially as a Merlot, like, and if you're right, that's a good point, Julie, because as a Merlot, you can make an argument for 93, 94. Just because so many people think so little of Merlot and they think it won't give you an interesting, intriguing, glass of wine.
Right.
Where this guy has us talking.
Yeah.
It's not just a bunch of plums with vanilla, which Merlot can be. And, and there's nothing wrong with it being that way, but it just, sometimes it's overdone, and it can be less interesting. But this guy's got interest. So for that reason, if nothing else, I really wanted to share it with you guys. When we tasted it in the store, it was an instant winner with us.
And then Linda said it's definitely the best Greek wine that she's had.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
That's
And
great to
Linda,
hear.
did you have the Casino Mavro that we had 6-8 months ago? I don't remember off the top of my head if you were there or not.
Jeff, what would you rate that pepper bridge that you had the other night?
She said she doesn't think so.
Okay. What was that,
Harriet.
Harriet?
How would you rate that pepper bridge the other night?
Pepper Bridge, that was pretty outstanding. I'd give that one an easy 93, 94, probably 93. Just, I wouldn't want to gush too much and go 94 necessarily, but I'd give it an easy 93. That stuff is incredible.
I'll give it a 94.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing.
I still
that was at Washington State.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if I like a wine and I can crush it on a hot summer's day, it gets extra bonus points for me. So 96, I'm sticking with it.
Like, can I drink it in the pool?
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that'll be the wine after next week.
All right. That'll be a 99 probably in my
There you
mind.
go.
Brian's scale, he's very
Okay.
extreme with his scaling.
We have a handbook.
Oh,
But,
Jeff, you mentioned something about Merlot grapes, and do they grow faster than the other grapes? Because you were talking about the influences depending on where they grow, and I'm interested to know about the speed of their growth.
They
if that has
grow, they grow faster than some, slower than others. The bottom line is kind of the easiest way to imagine it. I don't know, maybe it's easier for me, but this is the way I look at it because of studying Bordeaux, is they ripen faster than Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
So one of the fastest in the world is Tempranillo. It's literally in the name. So early ripening. So, so Merlot is certainly slower than Tempranillo, but it's faster than Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's one of those, I wouldn't say it's a quick maturation grape, but it is certainly faster than some.
Okay, since we already changed the subject slightly to like more grapes in general, I actually wrote down a question earlier because I was like, don't forget this, because you mentioned something about grapes. If you let them over ripen, then they're just going to taste like jam in a wine. But I feel like usually we talk negatively about wines that are like over sweetened, like more additives, like all this stuff. But if it's actually the grape itself that's over sweetened and makes the wine taste like jam, is that bad for people? Like, I'm thinking like a Brian we're introducing to wine, and we're like, here's a wine that's pure grapes and it's still red, and we didn't add a bunch of sugar and additives and all that to it. Like, is that bad? Or is it like not complex for those of us that love something more complex?
Right. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not technically a flaw. It's just more of a preference thing at that point, where you might, a lot of people prefer something a little drier. The thing with having a very heavily ripened, heavily extracted wine is it can also trounce and jump all over your food and make it so you're only tasting the wine. Okay. But it can be really fun if you're not eating anything with it. So there's a give and take on there where it's not wrong. It's different, and for the most part, for just enjoying something easily. Well, for example, we were just drinking a red before we started this that I wanted you to taste. Right. That's a big, ripe, heavily extracted Napa red blend. There's nothing wrong with it. It's done in a natural way. It's not. I really
liked it.
Yeah, it's delicious. It is. It's Tre Leone. There's nothing delicate about that. That's a big, ripe red blend, which I'm trying to get for us to drink here, but it's been out of stock. They're moving to the new vintage, but so there's nothing wrong with that. It's more of a personal preference thing, and to me, it almost comes down also to what are you doing at that time. That's the wonderful thing I love about wine is not only can it tell a story, it's got so many layers of nuance that you can have fun with and say, you know what, tonight I want a big ripe beastie of a wine, and that's what I'm going to go with. I'm hanging out with some friends and we're just going to be nibbling. But if you want something to go with a big heavy steak, and you might want something a little drier to be able to handle that.
So like if you were trying to bring someone around to the red wine world and they wanted to drink wine by the pool, then those kind of grapes wouldn't necessarily be bad. It's not like it's fake wine. It's not the over sweetened, like super cheap. I'm not going to name any kind of brand names, but we know where we're going. Like that, the inexpensive bottles that you're like, yeah, people pleasing because it doesn't actually have a lot of grapes in it.
Right. Yeah, it has the grape based additives that add color and make your teeth completely stained. And I mean, regular wine can also stain your teeth, but I found that it's not in the same way.
Right. Yeah. It depends on the wine and the person.
Oh yeah.
Because you get that much.
My teeth are more porous. I get more gray teeth before you would.
Right.
But,
yeah.
You have a wine like that in the store where it's like a little bit more jammy of a taste that you can recommend? I mean, I kind of want to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, the Dude would be perfect.
That's the one I just had. Yeah. I really like it.
Plus, it's called the Dude.
He's like sold.
It's a lot of fun. It is.
You have to watch The Big Lebowski. Drink
not the carpet. Like,
yeah. That one I'm thinking about for later on in the year as well too.
Okay.
But because I thought it was delicious. It's really good.
I like
and it's big, so it's not that I don't always go for you know, the more austere. I mean, even this guy has great minerality, but I wouldn't call it austere. I mean, there's big fruit in this guy.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot to latch onto and enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had a wine on Saturday that was a really, really great Pinot, but I didn't feel like it was like complicated or complex. It was just like, this is just exactly like the example I would hand somebody. Like, that's probably what Pinot Noir should taste like. And then but there wasn't anything like, I drank it, I went, oh, okay, that's cool. But I didn't have this like, oh, wow, there's this like crazy thing about it that makes you go like, oh, this is insane. I have to show this to somebody.
Right.
Because of some special quality to it or something that's unusual about it. So I was like, this is a really well-made Pinot, and I enjoyed it the entire time. And I was like, all right, well, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right. All right.
Yeah.
I think striking is a really good word to describe this wine. I'm impressed by the color of it. While it's not deep purple, it's very full and thick.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's really nice. It's definitely not a typical Merlot. It's not what Merlot is known for, but man, this is a top of the line Merlot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you on the nose. If I was blind tasting this on the nose, I would say Syrah instantly, because it's that smoky, bacony kind of quality, and that's usually the giveaway for you're drinking a Syrah. And I was like, it smells like a Syrah. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, my first sip, I told Chris, I was like, man, this is super fruity. But he also pointed out that like, so our food had a little bit of a kick to it. And I think that really brought out some of the smoky, peppery qualities too, because as we were drinking it with food, it definitely had that taste. But now that we're done eating, it's kind of back to being a little bit more fruity. So that was also super interesting.
Oh yeah, that is fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love how the play of the food with the wine, because it does definitely change the flavor of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well,
You would like
shall
me
we
to
see
share?
what we're going to drink next week?
Okay. Well, wait, before we do that, are there any more questions or comments about this wine?
I was just piggybacking on Chris and Robin and saying this is fruitful without being fruity. And I think that there's something that's a distinction to me in that. It's not sweet. I didn't want it to be. And I'm happy that it's fruitful without being fruity.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's almost it's kind of a bridge wine, if you will. You get all the secondary qualities of minerality, herbacity, and smokiness, which is old world, but big fruit, which is new world, and it's a bit of a bridge.
Sure.
So is there some vanilla now that it's been open for a while?
I get that after now that it's been open longer.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yep.
We will reveal next
All right,
week.
here we go. We'll see where we're going.
You ready for me to click?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to exotic California. We are going to be drinking a really nice Cali Cab. I mean, how can you do better, right? So
twist my arm.
I know. Oh no, this is the people pleaser. You know, this is the one, and also it's a great wine, and you guys will really enjoy this. But it's also the ones where I say, okay, you stuck with me and trusted me for the Grecian Merlot.
Right.
Now I'll give you guys an easy win. But
I find it interesting that the scores are ranging from 87 to 93.
Thank you for queuing in. That was one of my things. It was like, hey, this is going to be fun, because we talked about score differences with people. And you say, okay, well, you have somebody that took this cab and put it up at that upper echelon. Because I mean, breaking 92 is incredibly difficult. 93 points, Willy Wong coming in at 91. So that's Wine Enthusiast at 93 and Wine Spectator at an 87, saying it's a good wine. It's good, you know?
Right.
And I've had this one. I have my own opinion. You guys might.
Don't share it yet.
I'm just saying you might guess it because I chose it. But anyway, I thought that was kind of fun, a little bit of a fun
Mhm.
aspect on here where we have a pretty big jump. And I mean, that's 6
Yeah.
points is a huge difference in the wine world. They're normally pretty tight in how they come
Mhm.
together. So this is not that Pinot that we talked about, which
Right.
maybe we'll do one day,
Right.
but it's at least along that. And you know what else is cool? This is from Lake County in California. So Lake County, because clearly you guys memorize everything I say, right? So you already know this. When we drank the Kerner was from Lake County.
Okay.
All right, so that's where you get up there just north of Napa and Sonoma. When they come
Mhm.
back together in the valley, Lake County is right above there,
Okay.
and that's where this is from. So food pairings, I will shock you. Steak with Cabernet Sauvignon. Whoever would have thought? I tried to come up with something really interesting.
But I mean, steak, are there specific cuts of steak that would be better, or?
You can work it with any.
Okay. And then
It's-
portobello.
The portobello mushroom, meatloaf. That was my one. I was like, let's throw meatloaf in there. I think you could go beef stroganoff. Certainly venison.
Okay.
If
I
you want to
haven't
get
had
exotic,
venison in so
and that'd be
long.
great. Yeah. Cheese plate.
Cheese plate. Okay. Yeah. Well, we have to tell you the story of cheese plate
We'll do
once
that.
once we're done.
Okay. And then chocolat. Yes. Chocolate, especially like chocolate infused with coffee or something would be
Ooh,
amazing with
yes.
it. That'd be really good. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys will join us next week for that beautiful Obsidian Ridge Cabernet Sauvignon. It is a real winner, and I think you'll love it. So let's have a quick toast. We'll stop recording, and then we can just keep talking and enjoy ourselves.
Okay. Let me stop the share a moment. There we go.
Okay. All right, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.